Welcome back to the Righteous Rich podcast. We have Mohamed Isa today with us, one of the brothers in our community. And let me start with the karak. I think karak is somewhere which has motivated him maybe, or some story came out from there which made him to write books and change his life and wherever he is today. And how did he come to that position? Let's know from him. What's the story behind karak?
Chai Karak. Chai Karak is a book not about making karak. Chai Karak is a book about customer service, and there is a story behind calling the book Chai Karak. It was an inspiration from someone inside the story. I cannot reveal so much about the trigger, but I can tell you Chai Karak, a customer service story, is one of the best books that I have published. And this book took me many places. I made the most money out of this book, not by selling the book, but companies are calling me to speak about the concepts of the Chai Karak, because Chai Karak is a manifesto for customer service. I have nine principles of customer service. CHAI. So Chai Karak. Okay. The last alphabet in the karak is K, and this is the most important thing. It applies to customer service. It applies to anything in life. And that principle is simple. Keep trying harder. So in whatever you do in your life, whether you're a salesperson, you're a marketing executive, you're an engineer, you're a doctor, you're a lawyer, keep trying harder. So Chai Karak is a universal message that applies not only to our region, the GCC, it applies everywhere, because when I published this book, it was published in the US, and I had a big argument with the publishing house. They said, Karak doesn't sell. No one knows Karak. I said, no, it sells. In the US maybe, but in our regions, it will sell definitely. He said, no. I said, look, man, I need to publish this book. Name it whatever you want to name it, and let's go ahead. So he named it something, and then the editor who reviewed the text, he said, no. The inside does not match the title of the book, so we need to change the title again. So he called me out. I said, I told you, Chai Karak, a customer service story. And I told him, look, I have a large audience. You have the GCC, you have India, you have Pakistan, you have Bangladesh, you have Afghanistan. They all drink tea with milk or Chai Karak. Yes. So it's enough for me. If getting this kind of big market is enough. So that's the Chai Karak story.
But how did you get into karak? It's just an abbreviation you came up.
Yes. So as I told you, there isn't much I can reveal now.
Okay.
If you want to know, it's on chapter 9 and within the book. So I don't want to spoil it, because people always ask me, why did you call it Chai Karak? I said, it's in the book.
Part of the book.
So the book is started as a reflection on a very bad experience, customer service experience. And I was so upset that one day I thought, you know what, I will not create a tweet, I will not post on Facebook, I will not post on LinkedIn, I'll write an entire book on the experience. And that entire book became now a series of books, because today I just had finalized the 3rd edition. It will be printed in Bahrain. And we will have illustrations within the book, people wearing thob and ghitra. So I can imagine it's very local. Then the designer of the book, I work with a company called Cartoon Planet. He's now designing another book in the series called Karak Express, where I give 247 insights on customer service. And that book took me so much in terms of effort, in terms of time, because I had to research 1,836 resources on customer service to come up with 247 pieces of advice for the readers. So that's the second book. The third book will be called Karak Break, where I share different stories on customer service. The fourth one will be Social Karak, and this will be a research-based book where I go and scan the social media for angry customers and what they say about the companies they are dealing with. So when you look at an angry customer, to me, this is the best way to progress and to make things better in your company. Because angry customers, they will tell you what went wrong, and they will tell you how you can fix it most of the time. And angry customers can be those who are silent, just like these books I have over here. They were printed with a different prints than this book.
Yes.
Okay. I wasn't happy with one press, so I just moved my business to someone else, and I never complained to them. So they didn't follow up. They didn't say, Mohammed, is there any new books you're printing? They didn't, nothing. So they lost the entire business. So if you have an angry customer who speaks or writes, that's the best thing to look for. See what went wrong, fix it. And that's simple advice, but companies don't do that.
This is the book because of the experience. What did you have any experience of writing, or how did you get motivated? What motivated you? Who inspired you?
I like to share this story. The first book I published was in 2010. So that's almost 11 years ago. And that book wasn't actually a book. It was a master's dissertation. But there is a story, again, behind the master's dissertation. We were set up in groups within our master's education, and our instructor said, discuss within the groups what could be research topics that you can undertake for your thesis. So there was a Kuwaiti gentleman. He works with investors. And I told him, why don't you do something on investor relations? It's your field. He said, no. I already checked on this. There aren't any resources on this topic. So if I take it, it will be very tough on me to finish my research. Why don't you take it? And he challenged me. And I said, okay, I'll do it. So I did it. I had made the research. I received a distinction on the research. And by that time, it was around 2009, late 2009. There was a conference in Dubai. I booked a ticket, went to Dubai. I attended the conference on investor relations. And the idea was I wanted to take this dissertation copy and give it to the chairman of the society. His name is Arif. He's an Emirati. And when I went to Arif, he said, you need to meet Michael. I said, who's Michael? He said, he's a Polish gentleman, but he works in London. You should meet him. And I met Michael. When Michael saw the research, he said, Mohammed, you need to meet TJ. I said, who's TJ? He said, he's a British guy living in Bahrain. So, okay, I'll meet TJ. So TJ came to my office. We spent around 4 hours going through the results I had in my research. And as he walked away, he said, this should be published as a book. And I told him, TJ, I know nothing about publishing. He said, I know a Bahraini gentleman who does, but he lives in Belarus, and lucky you, he's in Bahrain now. So, okay, let's meet. So I met with Jalal. He said, okay, let's publish it. And we published it. And that was the book. But, I had to make tweaks to make it a business book rather than a research degree publication. Okay, so that was the start. Then came the revelation from a friend of mine. We were friends since university. He sent me a message, or he called me rather. Said, Mohammed, Mabruk, congratulations on the book. It's 2010. Can you imagine this? If you publish one book per year for the next 10 years, you'll have 10 books by 2020. Yeah. And I thought, Sharif, that's a great idea, but let's see how it goes. So 2010, there was a book. 2011, 2010, there was a book, and there was an unfinished book as well. Mm-hmm. I started writing a book on the pilgrimage to Mecca. It's called 3 Weeks with God, my pilgrimage to Mecca. I have written around 26,000 words in that book. Okay? Yeah. But I did not publish it yet because I reached the critical stage of the pilgrimage where I thought, oh, this is heavy now. Let me wait on this. And the weight has taken me so much Until today, I did not finish the book. But the interesting thing about this book is the cover of the book was not designed by a Muslim. It was designed by a Christian based in New Zealand. And this is one message I want to tell people through your podcast is sometimes we need to go beyond our environment. Because if I gave it to a Muslim designer or someone from this region who lived in this region, he would simply put the Holy Kaaba on the cover, a picture of pilgrims, and that was it. And this is not unique at all. The Kiwi designer made this. He had a picture of a desert, and there were footprints, and there was sun at the end. So the only tweak I made on the cover was to change the location of the sun, because I told him the shade is not in sync with the sun direction. That was it. So sometimes we need to go beyond our environment to look for new ideas. And this is what people do all the time. They stick to their environment. They stick to their network. They never go beyond this. You need to go beyond. If you want to see new things, you want to experience new things, you need to go beyond. That's why in 2015, in July, I went to Washington, D.C. I attended one of the best conferences in my life. It was the National Speakers Association. I went there. I was blown away. The conference was so good, I had to come up with a plan for the sessions that I was planning to attend. In conferences, in large ones, you have the main events, and then you have what they call the workshops. Okay, you have different lines. So I had option 1, 2, 3. If I don't get option 1, I go to 2. If I don't get 2, I go to 3. In many of the cases, I didn't get 1, 2, 3. Because people go there, they are hungry to learn from the speakers. And the organization of the event was superb. I still talk about it. We are in 2021 now. So you need to go beyond. And through that conference, from the first day, I came to discover an app that helps you in making creative videos. Even if you're not a designer, it's called Animoto. And when I came to know about Animoto, I thought to myself, this is it. If I don't get anything out of this conference, Animoto is enough for me. So that's why you need to go beyond your environment. You need to go beyond your network to get more ideas into your life. So that's how these books started.
Imagine, just an idea.
Idea. Absolutely. So 2010, there was this investor relation book. 2011, nothing. 2012, nothing. 2013, I participated in a book promoted by an American author. She called for chapters for submission. I gave her 3. I gave her 3 chapters. So option 1, option 2, option 3. And this is what people need to know as well. You need to build options. You need to have the other person say yes to something. Wow. Okay? If I gave her 1 chapter and she didn't like it, she wouldn't accept me in the book. But I gave her 3. Choose the best one you like. And that's what she did. 2014, I participated in another book. It was an Amazon bestseller. It was written by 50 certified speech coaches, including myself. And
it's a big question.
It's called World-Class Speaking in Action. Okay? And I remember creating the marketing campaign with the team. We were just monitoring the Amazon page. We just hit refresh until it was a bestseller. And we wanted to make it number 1, but we couldn't. I think we reached 14 or something. But it was an experience in itself. Then 2015, there was nothing. 2016, I co-wrote a book with Brian Tracy, a famous author and renowned speaker.
Larry King is also there.
Yeah, Larry King also in 2020. And in 2018, 2020, I co-wrote a book with Jay Abraham. He's a billionaire based in the US. He's a marketing genius. And the list goes on and on. And if you remember, Sharif said, if you write 1 book each year, You will have 10 books in 2020. I never counted my books, whether the ones I participated in or wrote on my own, or I edited as the main editor-in-chief, where I bring different authors to be part of the book. But last week, someone asked me to write a bio for a website. I said, okay, let me do the count. And today I have 16. Yeah, 16. Wow. And hopefully I'll be printing 2 more before the year end. So that will take it to 18. Next year, definitely I'll reach 20.
The confidence level is exponential.
Yeah, because, now for me, writing a book is like a piece of cake.
Writing book is like a lot of myths. It's just you cannot write so easily. You need plan, you need time, you have to leave your job, or so many doubts and self-doubts, no vision for that. I think sometimes I feel like, okay, I did not get the context. I don't have a proper context in my life. Once I have the why, then I will write the book, like that,
Well, it's not like that at all. You don't have to leave your job. You can definitely continue in your employment and write a book. It depends on what book do you want to write. Let me give you a little example. I travel a lot, and I have many travel experiences. So a few years ago, I started an Instagram account called Nomad973, and Nomad means traveler, and 973 is our international code for dialing Bahrain. So the Bahraini nomad, if you wish. So the whole idea of that Instagram account was to capture my experiences briefly, and when I write my travel book, I can go back to my Instagram account and look at these topics, look at the pictures, because when you look at the picture will bring you back to that memory, the feelings, the emotions that went into that trip or picnic or whatever you want to call it. So that's one thing that I did. Last year I started writing stories for Google Maps and GDN Life. I stopped, but I need to go back and continue writing. And the essence of writing is, to me, is to have a story. To have a story. Just as if we're talking now, just speak like that, write like that, so that people are attracted to what you're saying. But if you start with using big words and speaking like a lawyer, no one will read your book. One time there was one highly acclaimed book by a professor in one of the top universities in the UK. And I was in London, I bought the book, and I kid you not, I did not pass the introduction. I bought the book. The book is good. It's highly acclaimed. But the introduction, the level of referencing he used, so you read a few words, and there is a bracket, the year, and the last name of the author of that study. I thought, I will not do this. So you need to program your mind to read a few words, skip the brackets, read a few words. It's not very smooth. But when you have a story, then it becomes much easier on you and the reader. So let's build on this travel experience. So the idea is there. I want to write on travel. Now we come to an important topic. What is the title? So you can say the Bahraini Ibn Battuta or the Bahraini Magellan, what have you. But then these topics or titles are not creative.
Yes.
So the title I chose, and again, this was based on a real life experience, Walking on Thin Ice. Okay? That was the title. Now you have the title. Everything is linked to the title now. Okay. Now, what is behind Walking on Thin Ice? Yeah, I was in Austria, and there was a frozen lake, and I walked on the lake. I was very excited, like a kid. It's the first time I experienced this thing. I was shouting, it's frozen, it's frozen. So someone was taking a video of me. The third guy got so excited. He came, and he stood next to me, and suddenly we hear the cracking of the
Oh.
frozen ice,
Oh my God.
and we jumped out of the lake. So that's the title of the book, Walking on Thin Ice. Then we repeated this in France, and in France I had my left foot go inside the snow or the ice rather, and I had to jump using my right thighs to avoid sinking, because when you sink in a frozen lake, you don't know what will happen, because if there is a current, the current will take you away from the hole that you fell from, and it's freezing water. Maybe your body will not react to whatever you're telling it to do, so you'll be gone. So this is Walking on Thin Ice. Now you have the title, you have a story behind it. You can use the story for the introduction, because people will be thinking, what is the story of the title? So then you can go from there. Now, we talked about the Instagram, we talked about the title. I created a cover. When you create a cover, it inspires you to write, okay?
Wow.
So then, in June this year, most of us, when we travel, even if you don't travel, how many photos do you have on your iPhone or your Samsung or whatever you
Every
use?
6 months I have to cut down, but it comes around 1,000, 2,000.
Yeah. See, for me, 20,000 is not something unusual.
Okay.
So I will cut it down to 15, 14,000. It will come back again to 20,000. So if you ask me, what is the best picture you have? I cannot tell you.
Yes.
Because there are 20,000 photos.
It's a lot.
And this is only on your device. What about the ones on the cloud? What about the ones in the hard disk drives? So in June this year, I thought, okay, let me choose 120 pictures that I will print and put in the old-fashioned travel albums. And do you know how long it took me to do that? It took me around a month to choose from all the pictures that I have done. So I printed the pictures. They are in an album, 3 albums rather. And then I thought, okay, let me build more on this. What can I do? So I created this. I created 55 pictures, fabulous memories, okay? And for the camera, is it clear in the camera? Yeah. So these photos are in Arizona, in the US. And this is one of the adventures that I've made. You know, you walk on a glass, the glass is in the air. The height of the platform is 1.8 kilometers. And underneath you is a valley, part of the Grand Canyon. So these are the photos, okay?
Amazing.
Yeah. Then what I have done is I have taken all these pictures, yeah? This is me with the jersey of Lionel Messi. This is the replica of Elvis Presley car. So these are photos that I have. And in the beginning of the book, or this printout, I don't call it a book, I have captions for each of the photos. Now, this is 55 photos. Now I have 111 photos.
Yes.
So I'm building and building and building and building. Then when I come and I want to write, I can just come over here. This is me in the upside down house in Austria.
Wow.
I can talk about this experience, okay? So in this picture, I'm in Munich. I can talk about an attraction behind this building. So you can see how I can build pictures, or build the stories rather. Now, this is fine and dandy. You have photos, you have pictures, you have the Instagram. What else can you make to make the reader's experience more lively, more emotionally connected with you? So this is a stone. Okay, this is a stone. And, you know, I hope one day no one will throw it away from my house, you know.
Okay.
Someone could say, what is this stone doing in our house? Just throw it. This stone is very important to me. I went to Marrakesh in 2018. I was a speaker in a conference, and the Swiss are very, very generous. I told them we don't have direct flights from Bahrain to Marrakesh, so I need more time so that when I speak in the conference, I do not be tired with the audience. Say, okay, just give us the dates, and we'll book the hotel and ticket for you. And they were very generous. So I took 2 days before the conference, 2 days after the conference, and I had fun. I was like a tourist, you know. So I went to the old souk in Marrakesh, and I booked 2 day trips from Marrakesh, and one of them was visiting what they call the Orica waterfalls. So we had to climb and climb and climb, and ultimately this stone is from the height of 1,800 meters. So this is very significant to me. So sometimes bringing these kind of things, I'm not saying everyone should go and collect the stones, but you know, there are things that you buy from your trips. They can be the anchor of your stories. So there are many things people can do to write a book. Sometimes you should ask yourself, what do people ask me very often? For advice, for example.
Right.
And then you start from there. If you want to have a process-oriented suggestion, there is the London School of Journalism, where they have writing personal history. And they have the modules. You have a mentor who will correct your submissions and give you feedback. By the end of that course, you have all your chapters ready. And from the beginning, you can ask the mentor, let's focus on the business side of my life. I don't want to talk too much on my personal family or my life. I want to focus. And the mentor will just help you through that.
Interesting.
Yeah. So there are so many ways where you can go and seek help. Yeah. So just start. That's the most important thing. You need to start somewhere. And the first thing you need to start is thinking that writing books is not as challenging as people think. So start.
It's just, and you gave so many examples, which is really motivating anybody, especially like I was like, I've been waiting. I have the outline. I'm still not able to write the chapters, which is like, sometimes like, okay, this is not for me, maybe. But there is benefit also. What all benefits you got? What all? How it has helped you going in your journey when it comes to book writing?
Okay, I like to, as I told you before we started recording, I like to give real advice, because there are some speakers and some trainers, they will come and tell you, believe in yourself, the sky is the limit, and follow your passion. No, I don't like this at all. I don't like this at all. And if someone listening to me now and they think this is the right approach to be a famous speaker, well, be a famous speaker, but no one remember you as someone who changed their lives. So, back to your question. How did writing books affect my life? See, since I published the book, the first one, Investor Relations book in 2010, I became a regular speaker in conferences on corporate governance and investor relations. I appeared on many newspaper interviews. I appeared on the Banker magazine interview. I had 3 pages, and it gives you publicity. And when you get publicity, you get things that you don't get in normal due course. Okay? So you become known. When you become known, you get more business, you get more connections. And sometimes people introduce, he's an author of a book. Yeah. So it helps in marketing yourself. And this is not something new I invented. This is something old. When you have a book, people look at you at a different level. And in 2001... It
requires discipline. There's some character which has to be built.
Yes, absolutely. Not anyone will write a book. That's what people think. In 2001, I bought a book, 101 Ways to Promote Yourself. And one of the ideas, write a book. Write a book. Now, let's say you're a prospect. I'm here for some selling. And if I come and I give you a collection of books, in your mind, the credibility Mohamed Isa has is...
Yes.
Okay? And when you have credibility, you can do things. You can sell, you can influence. Now, if someone tells me, you're speaking about startups. What do you know about startups? I say, well, see, this book is about startups.
Okay.
And when you talk about startups, you need to have sales, and this book is about sales. And you need to manage your career, whether you're in a startup or you're an employee. And this is another book on a startup. So I know a thing or two about startups. Then they cannot argue.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, building credibility on what you do. So there are many ways. And one thing people should know is, and this is an advice from my longtime friend. His name is Steve Royston. He's a British. He's well into his 60s, and he told me once. He asked me this. He said, "Mohammed, do you know how to make $1 million from books?" I said, "How?" He said, "You start with $1 billion, you spend, then you make $1 million in sales." Okay. So this is the truth. This is the truth. If you think about it, you don't make so much money out of direct selling.
Yes.
Unless you're a famous, very famous author. You're selling in the millions of copies.
Right.
And you're perhaps like Robin Sharma. He has a large following. Any new book he will release, everyone will buy that book. Okay? That's it.
Without thinking.
They don't think.
Yes.
It's Robin, it must be good. Finished. So unless you reach that stage and you have a marketing agency behind you, yes, you will make money. But the way to make money in books is to have the book as your business card. This is the book I recently wrote. Now tomorrow I have a course. One of the things that I will do is I'll be distributing these books to the participants.
Interesting.
They'll immediately think, "Oh, he has a book, huh?" No, he's 3 books. These are different books. Oh, okay.
Of course.
All right. So now they okay. Let's listen to him. He looks
heavy.
Yeah. So this is one way to market yourself, to write a book. But sometimes it's not about marketing yourself. It's about giving value to the community. I believe when you give value to the community, you will receive value.
Right.
As simple as that. The more you give, the more you get. Some people will tell you how. I say, I don't know how. But eventually, the value will come back to you. Eventually, the value will come to you. Through a phone call, through an email, through a meeting. You never know. From October until beginning of 2020, I have many courses lined up. They were not there in my calendar.
Yes.
Just one call through a friend of mine. He introduced me to someone, and that someone is filling my calendar with courses.
Wow.
Yeah. Why? Because now we have this profile. You are an executive. You have books. You have been training. You have been speaking here and there. So you have all the ingredients.
Presence all over.
All right. So that helps. If I didn't have books, one time I was called for a CEO interview for one of the companies in Bahrain. Didn't work out at the end. They found someone with a particular experience that I didn't have. The salary was very good. The benefits were so good. And one of the reasons that they called me for that interview, they told me this. We wanted to meet that person who wrote a book with Larry King.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the...
that's big appreciation.
Yeah. So sometimes it's not about making that sale. It's not about making money. No. Sometimes it helps you in reaching things. Sometimes it's the other way around. You're not thinking about whatever we talked about. You're leaving something for your kids, for your family, for the generations to come. Okay, see, our father went to so many places. Oh, look at, he was crazy. He jumped from an airplane. Okay, so this is what they'll think. This is a legacy you're leaving. So sometimes it's not about just writing a book and making money out of it. I had a call yesterday from a friend of mine. He just released a book. He said, I need to make the money back, whatever I spend. And I was so busy, I didn't want to give him this kind of lecturing now. Okay. That no, don't think that way. Just make money through the book, not by selling the book. So this is something, and if you think about it, this is content marketing. Yes. Many companies, consultancy companies, they will publish white papers. They will publish research on their websites for you to see that they know their subject.
Yes.
So this is content marketing at the end.
Right.
That's it.
When it is digital age, it's like kind of challenging for anybody to take benefit from something which is like, writing books or getting into, publishing it, and also getting publishers to work on you. It's a lot of work for them.
Absolutely.
If you see online, now everybody is becoming online stars.
Yeah.
And everything is, although they have to go to the old style.
Yeah.
Traditional things will not end.
This publishing will never end, because I'll tell you something. Let's use this example. I come to you, you're a prospective customer. I give you this book as a gift. You don't like books. You give this book to your secretary.
Yes.
Then she or he gives it to someone else. And someone
goes to right person.
So someone said a book is having legs. It will never stop walking. It's a marketing tool that has legs. So people don't throw legs. People don't throw books, rather. If I give you a magazine, you throw it. Okay? So if I give you a magazine and there was an article on me in the magazine, yeah, it's good. It gives you credibility. But again, it's a magazine. It's not a book. And depending on which magazine is this will decide whether you think highly of the article or not. So books are great because they can promote you everywhere.
How does it feel like, working like this for last 10 years? It's like you do it out of love, or you do it because there is a need. This is something which I ask, some people do it because there is a need, but some love it. They love this. That's why they do it.
For me, it's all about leaving a legacy. That's it. A legacy for my family, for my community. There was a man called Mohamed Isa who did all of these things. A few weeks ago, I was in the Isa Cultural Center. I gave them all my books. They'll be digitized. They'll be available on the database. So by the time I'm gone from this earth, I have all these literature behind me. So that's enough. That's enough. And this is like a charity, if you think about it.
Yes.
Because the tax of knowledge is given that knowledge.
What are you grateful for in your life?
I'm grateful for many things that I cannot list over here. I'm grateful to so many people in my life. There are so many people in my life. And if I want to give a tribute to someone, and I will not be very classical saying my parents. No, this is my cousin. He's 5 years older than me. And he was the one who loaned me some money so that I can stitch 2 suits, buy 2 ties, and buy shoes and shirts for my job interviews when I was in university.
Okay.